Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 14.2C. I've entitled this video, Early History of Korea and Japan. This video is going to cover pages 442 to 444. Early Korea and Japan. Korea was first populated thousands of years ago by people who migrated from northern Asia. By the 1st century AD, the peninsula was divided among 3 rival kingdoms. 6 centuries later, one of these kingdoms, the Silla, conquered the other 2 and unified the peninsula. After enduring for 3 centuries, the Silla kingdom was succeeded in AD 935 by the Koryo. Question number 1. What impact did the Silla kingdom have on Korean history? They were able to conquer the other 2 kingdoms and then unify the peninsula into one kingdom. In the 1200s, the Mongols, a people from the steppes of Central Asia, had conquered North China, parts of Asia, and the northern half of the Korean peninsula. The vast territory became part of the Mongols' Yuan dynasty. At the end of the 1300s, the Mongols were driven out of Korea, and a new Korean dynasty called the Chosun came to power. It would stay in power until modern times. Question number 2. In the 1200s, which group had conquered North China, parts of Asia, and the northern half of the Korean peninsula? The Mongols. Question 3. What impact did the Chosun dynasty have on Korean history? Well, they were able to come into power, drive out the Mongols, and they stayed in power from the end of the 1300s until very modern time. Korea went through religious changes during this period. Buddhism had spread from India to China to Korea in the AD 300s and became popular during the Koryo dynasty. Later, during the Chosun dynasty, Confucianism became Korea's dominant religion. Chinese characters came to be used for Korean writing. Korean artists and writers were inspired by the art and literature of China. Korean rulers also adopted Confucianism as a basis for government. In some periods, China provided Korea with military protection. In other periods, Koreans lived in fear of Chinese invasion. Question number 4. What religion became popular in Korea during the Koryo dynasty? That was the religion of Buddhism. Question number 5. What religion became popular in Korea during the Chosun dynasty? That was Confucianism. Question 6. How did China impact Korea during that time in history? Well, they had a very interesting relationship. Korea definitely borrowed or took Chinese characters for their writing. They were inspired in Korea by the Chinese artists and writers and inspired also by the art of China. So they definitely took a lot from China. The rulers also adopted Confucianism as a basis for their government. And in some times, China gave Korea military protection. But there were other times where Koreans were, is China going to invade us? The history of Japan is intertwined with that of its neighbors to the west. The Japanese islands were settled by people from Korea and China. By AD 500, the clans and tribal kingdoms of Japan had close ties to Korea. Eventually, the ties extended to China, beginning with a flow of ideas and culture that transformed Japan. Japanese people began using the Chinese calendar and the Chinese system of writing. In addition, the Japanese adopted Chinese technology, and Buddhism spread to the islands from Korea and mixed with Shinto, a Japanese religion. Shinto, or Sacred Way, stressed that all parts of nature, humans, animals, plants, and rivers, have spirits. Question number 7. Where did the people come from that settled in Japan? They came from Korea and China. Question 8. How did China influence Japan during that time in history? Well, there was a lot going on there. China, the ideas and culture that went to Japan came from China, and the Japanese people began using the Chinese calendar and the system of Chinese writing, and they started to also use the Chinese technology, and the Chinese Buddhism spread to the islands of Japan as well, where it mixed with Shinto, the Japanese religion. Question number 9. What religion did China bring to Japan? We just mentioned that, Buddhism. Question 10. What is a key concept of the Japanese religion of Shinto? Well, the Sacred Way stresses that all parts of nature, humans, animals, plants, and rivers, have spirits. Japan was ruled by emperors, but over time they lost power. Eventually, landowning families set up a feudal system, pictured on the right. Under the system, high nobles gave land to lesser nobles in return for their loyalty and military service. At the bottom of the social ladder, peasants farmed nobles' estates in exchange for protection. By the 1100s, armies of local nobles had begun fighting for control of Japan. Mini Yoritomo became Japan's first shogun, or military leader. Landowning warriors, who were called samurai, supported the shogun. Although the emperor kept his title, the shoguns held the real power. Question number 11. What is the feudal system? Well, in the feudal system, and this also happened, by the way, in Europe during the Middle Ages, you had these people at the top, the high nobles, and they would give land to lesser nobles, and in exchange, the high nobles would demand loyalty and military service from the lower nobles, and then those people would be protected. And then, of course, at the bottom of the pyramid of power, if you will, you had the peasants, and they were just hoping that the nobles would keep them protected as well. And you can see this feudal system shown here. And at the top, you had the emperor, but the real power was the shogun. Question 12, what does the word shogun mean? That was the military leader of Japan. And question 13, what does the word samurai mean? The samurai were the land-owning warriors pictured here in the middle of the feudal system, and they were very powerful in the sense that they were military and they had skills. Well, thank you so much for watching. Before we go, I have this Far Side cartoon for you. There's no dialogue, just enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.